Hello, Katrien. Please, could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jana. Yes, I can. My name is Katrien Keune. I'm the head of science in the Rijksmuseum in the Netherlands, and I'm also professor of molecular spectroscopy at the University of Amsterdam. And to give a little bit of my background, I'm trained as a chemist. I did my master's in photochemistry and my PhD in analytical chemistry. Since then, I continued with a more postdoc or an internship at Natural Gallery in London at that time, 2005, 2006. Come back to the Netherlands and did several projects. And at that time, there was not really a lot of work in the cultural heritage field. So me and a colleague, do some freelance work, doing research for conservators. And we got a lucky opportunity in 2012 to get a grant, a Dutch grant for research, chemistry of oil paintings. And from then on, a lot of things started. In 2015, I started with the Rijksmuseum, where we now have a huge team of scientists working to our collection.
Okay, that's a quite amazing journey and amazing experience. And what is the focus of your research nowadays?
Yeah, it's good to mention that I'm quite privileged. And in the academia work and in the cultural heritage field, the museum. So my specialty is really focusing on chemical processes in oil paintings, looking to more kinetics, degradation phenomena, interaction between components, heterogeneity in paintings. So I'm really dive into the molecular aspects of paintings. So that's a little bit what I do at my university site, where we do more the fundamental approach. And at museum, we of course need to take care about the entire collection. So we need to facilitate research related to conservation treatment. I think Operation Nightblood is a huge example, one of the biggest projects I'm running there. But also indeed you have smaller questions, acute question about indeed in an exhibition where you need to measure, for instance, acidic ratio, or indeed construction parts of house and artwork construction and what materials are used. So the museum side is a little bit broader and more integrated. And I think this bridge between both sides is quite, very privileged here.
Okay, so besides the molecular chemistry, what other aspects excite you most about the work that you do?
Yeah, well, as a chemist, I have of course to say that the chemistry is exciting me the most. And I think that is also true. I'm very eager to understand the behavior of materials and the composition. But what I like is the research has more science. I really need to communicate, of course, with scientists, physicists, mathematicians, but also indeed with the museum more the art historical part, the collection part. So I think that the different aspects and the different way you need to communicate, I think that's very exciting. And what I'm very excited, what I also found very motivating is, of course, working with younger people and students. And I really see also that research on the cultural heritage field is a very strong communicator to indeed pupils or students who are less affinity with more the beta side, more the science part of research. So I think we have a very strong role in communicating science and also heritage to both sides. So I think that's very unique, and I think that on a daily basis it stays inspiring.
That's amazing. In the Hyperion HS project, you lead work on methodological and instrumental developments for preventive conservation. Could you please tell us what are the main objectives and possible impact of such work?
Yeah, we have 3 objects here. Of course, we want to develop a toolkit to monitor objects themselves, or the preventive conservation of objects. We have a toolkit where we want to develop a toolkit to monitor the environmental conditions. So that goes hand in hand with the object and the environment. And the third one, which is highly excited, is about the preventive toolkit, so digital toolkit platform for digital tools. And I think what is nice, because it has these 3 legs, I think it's nice because it's really makes also another way of dealing with art. You see that and I speak in my museum, it's very proactive, conservation treatment focused, but you really see that you want to understand much better your objects, and you need to have tools to understand how material behaves, and then you can act. And I think also with these toolkits that really can facilitate our decision making. So I think it's more acting about knowledge and also acting about, because things are changing so much, or we have collections are growing. We also need to prioritize. I think this task 5.1, where we develop this preventive conservation tools, can really assist in making decisions here.
At this stage, do you already have some significant results?
Yeah, it's good to stress that it's a huge team. I think there are many partners connected to this task, and I think we have several projects, and all these project leaders are doing really great jobs. So everybody's very dedicated to the task, and we're nearly to the end. So we have this, of course, due to Corona, some delays with the practical work. But you see that on this experimental side, that we also develop indeed a toolkit to monitor, for instance, protrusions. You're involved in one themselves. So we really try to understand not only what are the possibilities, but also what the limitations are. And if you want to monitor, challenging part is if I monitor on Monday in 2023 and I want to monitor on Friday in 2025, how do I relate these results? So that are really things we want to tackle to really to have a longer vision, not only what I see today, but how can we make our results reproducible and useful for indeed longer terms, longer terms. And indeed, there are many already digital tools developed, and we really try now to integrate that more on a platform so that it's for a conservator or a conservation scientist accessible. And I think it's also about how we communicate these things to the public and the people who are really need to use them. Mm-hmm. That is going quite smoothly.
So we can stay tuned for some publications or online tools in near future.
Definitely, yes.
Would you be able to summarize your research with a thought for a future?
Oh, for the future. Oh, that's nice. And my research or research in general? My research.
Your research.
Okay. What? I already said a little bit. What I think is that the more we can do, the more we want to do, the more we think we need to do. So I think it's getting more and more complex the more we develop in technique and insight. So I think we need also to focus and prioritize. So I think at a certain point, of course, artificial intelligence will help there enormously. So I think that will also change our way of working in the future dramatically. But I think that the way I see science embedded more and more in conservation, that it goes much more and more in hand with the conservator, in the sense that we are not determining what needs to be done, but I think really feeding together what decision can be done. So that's why I'm really keen on this preventive conservation task, because I think it can be more prominent and more also from a material point of view to understand real behavior and predict behavior and predict indeed if we act, what change will happen. I think that's where, that saves time, and that also saves a decision. And I think then we can be more proactive and efficient. So I hope that these developments from both sides, instrumentation, technology-wise, artificial intelligence, can really facilitate us to a more proactive and efficient way of working, and still being inspired by new findings on a daily basis, I hope.
Yes, this is a very nice example of a collaborative approach of the co-creation process that is on the basis of the future infrastructure. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us? Maybe some special message for a young generation?
Also, nice question, and always a difficult question, and not having open doors with questions like this, but I find difficult. What I learned a lot, or what I enjoyed much about the research I'm doing and the position I have, is that there's not one answer, in the sense that there are more perspectives. I come with my expertise, the chemistry, and look at an object like this. But I know my colleague who's sitting next to me, who's a conservator, has a completely other approach. And of course, I know this is familiar, this is an open door, but that means that in a way we do storytelling. We're telling a story about an object, and there's more than one story about an object. And I think having all these stories together and have the perspective together, I think then you add something new. So it's not about being right or being wrong or having a black and white story. I think you need to add, and you need to accept there are more perspectives there, which can be interesting, or maybe it's not interesting to you, but they do exist, and I think that's very helpful in collaboration.
Yes, indeed. It's very inspirational, this kind of message, not only for young generation, but for the humankind in general. Thank you so much, Katrien, for your time. And we look forward to seeing those amazing results that you have been talking about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.